power company who has the lease. The gentleman I'm supposed to meet with and James was going to meet with had some surgery in December. So we expect him to come back in the next week or so. We'll be talking to him about actually finding a solution to closing off all of it to tubers. Because once that gate was opened up, it just opened to flood. And that's, you know what's going to happen when the season comes, especially when they start shutting the parks down, they're going to just be filing through here. So they're very anxious to do that. And they recognize the liability associated with it. So very favorable to find a way to get that done. I think we'll be able to do that. Any questions on that? Board members? Okay, we'll move on to committees. We've got some committee appointments we want to put in place, and I want to recommend Tommy Matthews and bring Bill Brim on the maintenance committee and leave them there where they are. I'll agree to that. Also like to on the communications committee, leave Vonda and Charlie heading that up. And then we are going to start a new committee, which Bonnie said that she would like to chair, and it's got some folks that she'd like to bring on, which we're going to call it a code committee to look at rentals and code violations under what TREPO has to work with. It's something that we really have talked about for a long time, but Bonnie, you said that you'd be willing to take that on. You have a couple folks to work with you on that. I'd be glad to work with you all on that also. It's not going to happen. It won't happen overnight, but once they can, I think, meticulously get into it and look at what we have, what we can do, I think it'll be a great committee. So we're good with that.
Yeah, she's mentioned her a couple of times. There's a lady that rents a home across the street from ours, and she's contacted me. So we're gonna.
Hilda was the other one
too.
And Mr. Chairman, just for the sake of clarity, that would include both deed restrictions as it relates to TREPO along with county violations. Is that
Yeah, county. Well, it's the county code enforcement's already in place, but it's our committee at least can be the communicating factor when things are brought before this board. Things that are pretty obvious, then we can use the committee to facilitate that. I think that would be great. Yes, sir.
Do we have anything on the deed restrictions that's not according to or in line with the same code enforcement? I haven't seen anything as far as.
That's what Bonnie's going to study.
I think
Yes.
there's nothing really so far with that. But I know there's a lot of issues with people renting their key. So I think that is in our restrictions. It says you're not allowed to sell or lease your key unless you come into the proper people. So I think that's kind of where the groundwork's going to start there.
Yeah, we need to have some process that we all adhere to and stick to on that. You know, problem you have renters and they're bringing in 20 or 25 people. And you've got some folks that own property and they're using it commercially and they're using their key commercially and making the river accessible to them. Well, that's not fair to folks that bought a property. And the expectation was that this is our property and this is for our use. And so it's not fair at all for anyone to commercialize it. And that's going to be the other aspect of how we utilize that. Now, we're also, I introduced you to our attorney. And so they're going to be working with the committee also as needed. It's not going to be an everyday thing, but as needed, they'll get some guidance from that and how we can facilitate it better, I believe, in the long run. Okay, any other old business, board members? All right, we'll open up the floor to property owners and we'll let you speak for 2 minutes if you like to the board. So is there anyone that would like to speak to the board and the community? Yes, sir.
I'd like to point out in our deed restrictions that it does say that there's no rentals for less than 4 months out of the year property out there. I think that would also apply, obviously, to short-term weekend rentals where they're renting different people every weekend property along with our keys. It would be something that we look at. That should be code enforcement. County's a little different, a little longer. I think it's 6 months maybe or something, but we're, in our restrictions, 4 months is what it says as far as I know.
That's why we're getting started. So, Okay, any other person? Let's speak. Yes, ma'am.
I called Terry here. He said to come to the meeting, where he Jews under the article. I might have to touch.
And ma'am, what is your name?
Leanne Custer,
Lynn Custer?
yeah.
Custeria.
I used to be on the board, it was back in 97 and 98. I was paper Terry, I don't even know I can't. Let me go fix it. Well, you can for my 2 minutes.
Just relax. We'll start you over again.
I feel like it.
Yes, sir.
I've got a simple question.
Oh.
I know you mentioned the boat ramp and the improvements here. Any other big issues, top 2 or 3 issues that you're trying to tackle in 25? 26, 27?
We're still looking at the Columbia boat ramp and the Swanee boat ramp to get those completed. And that's complicated, but.
Fencing.
And the
that's all, yeah.
fencing.
I think we need to repair some of the fence, different places, the fencing.
Yeah, that's in the budget. Some of the fence work is
Yeah.
in the budget.
I was just curious.
That's a pretty much an ongoing thing with the number. For long, we're not gonna have trees to worry about,
Right.
at the rate they're falling.
I think it's just fine. When you get hurricanes like we do. Like south.
And I'll take a picture with my phone because I just move away and you got pretty wide area. Okay, I was looking at it today. Is that okay? It says, when I give it, when you do it, 10 days. Yeah. But if it's not, just let me know, whatever. I can say whatever time, and if that day's not good, just let me know. I'll call you. Okay. I didn't put my phone number on it. Yeah, don't even get phone number. I gotta be in my ear.
Let's just not.
Hey, Lynn, are we still using your 2 minutes or?
No, wait a minute. 275. 6522. Okay. When I was on the board, I brought this up about the deed restrictions, and everyone said, you just need to be quiet because you got before 1990, it doesn't include you.
Mobile, okay.
And I was, there's gonna be trouble because I don't think these things are fair and right. And I said it back then. And the articles of corporation, it tells the, it has the name of your corporation, it would say Three Rivers Estates property owners, period, Inc., period. When there's a period after something, you don't add on. And from the beginning of Three Rivers Estates out here, Howard Hodar in 1967 was the subdivider that created on both sides. And his deed restrictions, he pretty much ran this place. I mean, hunting or the discharge of firearms or other dangerous weapons will be permitted in any area except, will not be permitted in any area except those that are specified by the seller. Well, that probably is illegal by this point. What it is down here on number 12, the use, occupancy, ownership of all land facilities thereon or adjoining is restricted to members of the white or Caucasian race. This was in 67. These were illegal.
That's been changed since.
Yes, all.
No, listen, let me finish, please. So these were found illegal. And at that time, it was about 1976, Mr. Hodar did not make deed restrictions to fill in where his were illegal. He just left. And he sold his place here. He went away and he deeded he owned the roads, he did the trash, he did everything out here. He deeded all of that over to the county. In Columbia County. I haven't been to Swanee County to look, but in Columbia County, he deeded them everything, together with all tenements, hereditary pursuances, their own belonging, or anywise appertaining. Everybody who bought from 76 to 1990 was under county ordinance when I bought my property. What he also did was he just quit selling his lots. The A-frame, which is over here now, they left out of there. He had Johnny Johnson and Jimmy Johnson was in there too helping, but anyway, he gave it to Florida Woodlands over in Gainesville, and they then sold the lots for Hodar, gave him his money and kept their percentage. Hodar left. Hodar had a chance to make new subdivision rules, deed restrictions, whatever. He handed it over to the county and he left. And in 1980, which was 4 years later, he deeded the parks to the lot owners through our corporation, which is registered. The name of this corporation is Three Rivers Estates Property Owners, period, Inc., period. And things have periods, like I say, after them. And it tells the purpose of the corporation, organized to own, operate, maintain certain parks, picnic areas, boating areas, community swimming, and recreational areas with all improvements thereunto appertaining, located in its health attracts Three Rivers and Swanee and Columbia side up. And then it goes to tell you have a right to purchase, acquire, own, mortgage, pledge, sell. You can read it. It said, go to Sunbiz, type in Three Rivers Estates Property Owners, period, Inc., period, and then you can see these articles there. Filings. And then it goes to say, instrument secure payments, okay, right here. As required and to act on behalf of property owners of Three Rivers Estates in matters of community interest. When you're acting on behalf of the, basically it would be the owners of Three Rivers, the property owners of Three Rivers Estates. When you're acting on their behalf, that does not mean you have the right to make an HOA. Absolutely not, especially in the context of these articles. It goes and tells you at the first one, I read it. Maintain certain parks, picnic areas, boating. Members of the boards are only able to be members of lot owners out here. They have to be lot owners out here, okay? So we were deeded these parks. This is what we're supposed to be doing. This HOA thing, in 1990, somebody from Trepo, I guess it was the board, whatever, decided that they had the right to make subdivision deeds. They said, oh, we're going by 11, paragraph 11 of these illegal voided deed restrictions. So that is not even allowed to be done. I mean, totally false. They had no right. And not only that, I went to Swanee County, I looked in 2017, Terry Downs had the nerve to take the restrictions. Now, if you look at those restrictions, it only states all the lots here in this Columbia County side. There's not one thing in there about the lots over on San Juan County side. It's all up in the Columbia County Courthouse in 1990. Trepo, that board, they did it, put it up there, claiming they could be on them as a majority for all lot owners and be an HOA or whatever. You have to be mandatorily, that did the whole thing is shouldn't have even been done. Up here in Swanee County, I look in 2017, this Terry Downs crossed off with a pen, crosses off Swanee County or Columbia County and writes Swanee. I'm like, well, I know that wasn't a lawyer that put that in there. In 2017. Now, that definitely can be knocked out by any judge because it's obviously has nothing to do with Swanee County. Period. It just.
And was Terry Downs acting as a,
I have no idea, but.
Because Terry Downs wasn't on the board at that time.
I know that.
Okay.
Board members aren't liable for these kinds of things. But Mr. Downs, I thought, you better hope he was.
Well,
on the
let
board.
me just say this, Lynn, if I can.
Okay.
We've presented all of this information to our legal team.
Mhm.
And so we're operating based on what the legal team has.
This whole, they're under county ordinances over there because there's nothing holding them.
But-
Here, we have been up until that 1990, and like I said,
Right.
the board is being impeded, doing their job on keeping those parks that were dated to all autos out here. We are lucky to have this, that we don't have to have an HOA and have everybody have to do all this stuff. You guys have to go to HOA classes. That's a bunch of bull crap. That is not fair because they're impeding upon our board.
We're right now,
And that, I don't like.
Well,
this.
Lynn, let me
I
just-
want
I'm
to go
gonna-
to
I'm
board
gonna-
and make the 1990.
appreciate your presentation, but right now, I would tell you that we're operating under the direction of our legal.
Okay.
So so what I need to say to you, I'll give you more than 2 minutes, and I appreciate
I
your
didn't get to
dissertation.
get the bylaws. Where they state.
Let me
red-
say this to you, if we could. Why don't I put you down to speak at the next meeting?
That's what I was
Then-
gonna ask.
then we'll do
if I
that
could
because-
that once. I gotta get some paperwork, some other things when I was on the board that we did that you guys need to know about. You probably already know. But they are pertaining to some of the parks and
Okay,
I really need the board to know, that you can know so that you can know.
appreciate
It's
that.
important. And,
Well, this is the easiest job in the world, you know that. So, all right, Lynn, we'll do that. If you,
I have
you'll
one
give-
thing,
you'll give me a
Mr. Trammell
call.
might want to know about, because he's mentioned something about the graveyard. The
No,
cemetery?
we're familiar with that, but let's do that.
I've got papers to him though.
So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll talk to you after the meeting, but is there anything else that, any board member needs to address? If not, I'll adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second motion to adjourn, second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.